Beautiful. Welcome. I'm so excited to deliver this presentation. Thank you for being here. And I really mean that. When we start to discuss things about conception, pregnancy, and birth, these concepts really bring us into the core of who we are and what we're made of. You may or may not know me. I might be a complete and total stranger. And so, right out of the gate, I really want to admire your trust for being here. We are living in a information saturated world, and my intention is not to give you more information. I really want to invite you to settle in, drop in, and open to the highest possibility of receiving, because I really mean it when I say that this presentation alone may very well transform your experience of pregnancy and birth. And if it transforms your experience of pregnancy and birth, then it will inevitably transform your life, all the generations that follow you. Again, my intention isn't to give more information. It is actually, the essence of transform into birth is it birth escorts us home into our hearts. This program, this birth preparation series, which is the signature series of birth preparation within Luminous Birth, is really designed to bring us into the very heart of birth. It demystifies prenatal care. It demystifies the whole conscious pregnancy and birthing paradigm and really brings us into the very heart of birth. So, welcome. If you don't have 90 minutes to give your attention right here and now, then I might invite you to just put this aside and come back when you do have the full 90 minutes to spare. Again, this experience very well may transform your whole experience of pregnancy and birth. And that is without even taking the program itself. So, settle in and enjoy. A little overview. I'm going to share with you a little bit of my personal journey. So, what came before this program? Why did it come into be? And what have been my life experiences up until this point that have informed the creation of Transform into Birth? We're going to look at birth memory and their lifelong impact. So, the way in which our own birth memories represent each and every day of our lives, but especially when we're pregnant, when we give birth, or if you're a man and you're going to be a father, your birth memories will inevitably represent as you walk the transformative pathway into fatherhood. So, family creation is the ultimate opportunity to write a new story. Of course, we'll talk about intuition and ancient wisdom. I think if we are looking anywhere but in nature for birthing wisdom, we are lost. And yes, if we look around the world, we can see that we are quite lost when it comes to the ancient indigenous wisdom of birth that lives in all 100 trillion of our cells. So, this program really deeply demystifies what is prenatal care, and in a large way, it simplifies the whole thing. So, if you're swimming in a sea of information and really preparing for your journey of birth, and if you are afraid that this might just add on a whole other layer of things that you might not be prepared for, I want to reassure you that this will probably bring a lot of peace inside of your being, a lot of confidence, a whole new way in which you can now approach the journey of pregnancy, labor, birth, and the whole family life that follows. Um, we have to come back to the heart. We have to come back to simplicity, right? So, of course, this program really demystifies the whole paradigm that we know as conscious pregnancy and birth. I'm going to talk about how conscious pregnancy, conscious birthing is largely distracting us even further from the space where we need to come into in order to create and in order to give birth. I'm going to share with you the 4 pillars that uphold Transform into Birth. So this program embodies 4 particular dimensions of awareness that essentially are woven through the whole fabric of the entire program and ground it, really root it in original birthing wisdom, the most advanced pre and perinatal sciences as well, but really, again, bring it home to the heart of birth. And possibly the most powerful part of this will be I'm going to share with you some parent testimonials. I think that the way in which we relate to things as humans is through hearing stories, right? And hearing other people's personal experiences. Now, there have been countless people go through this program all around the world. I've been delivering the program for the last 5 years, and every single woman who has been through the entirety of the journey has went on to birth peacefully, naturally, blissfully, in the presence of her loved ones, harmoniously, no matter what her history with birth is. So we're going to go into this. I really, again, encourage you to stay to the end. This easily could be one of the most transformative experiences that you have on your pathway towards pregnancy or towards birth. Yes, and this program has actually recently been reborn. So I'm going to share with you about what that means for you and what that means for the world at large. But without going into my story, I want to right out of the gate just share a personal parent testimonial so that you can really get a feel of the program and the depth of the work that we are doing. So let's go.
Hello, I'm Carrie Michelle.
And I am Josh Trent. And this is Nova, and this is beautiful Naya.
And we did Victoria's Transform into Birth program, and we just wanted to share a little with you on our experience before and after. So starting with me, I was pregnant with this one when we started the birth journey. We had Nova. It was a home birth, planned home birth. We got transferred to the hospital. Then I had a C-section. Then he was in the NICU for 10 days. So I really wanted to have a unmanaged birth, and I knew I needed to do some deeper work. I was also born cesarean, and I found Victoria through the luck of God and
a bunch of mutual friends.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. And what I didn't know I was missing in my whole journey to doing deeper work around birthing and power the way that I wanted to was going back and healing my own birth. I was born cesarean, and I was also in the NICU for, I think, 7 days. So working with Victoria was just super deep. Like, she's super intuitive and gentle and compassionate. And I spent a lot of time going back to my conception, and also just she really helped me get clear on what I wanted in the birth room and what I didn't want. So that was super transforming for me, and I was able to birth this little one in a cabin at home with no one managing me, just having birth witnesses.
Dreamy.
And it definitely was a reclamation for my soul. Also, we also did couple sessions with her that really helped me and Josh get on the same page, but I'll let Josh share from here.
Yeah, my experience was that everything I ever thought that I knew about birth was wrong. And it's not to shame or blame myself, it's just we all have conditioning in this world. So as a man who considered himself conscious, I was blown away at how unconscious I was about the whole birthing process. And I was really proud of Carrie Michelle in the way she held her ground in exactly the kind of birth that she wanted, because look at this beautiful result. Look at the amazing results that happen when a woman listens to her intuition. And I think that's what I really received from Victoria, was just how to support Carrie in her own intuition and how to deal with the emotions and the things that were coming up for me during the entire process, right? Pregnancy, delivery, and then also postpartum. I think that she's one of the most skilled, intuitive, soft-hearted, kind, amazing people that could ever be blessed to work with any couple. So that's my experience with Victoria, and I wholeheartedly recommend her to any couple that wants to bring life into the world the way nature intended, the way that nature wanted it to be. So thank you, Victoria, for everything.
Yes, thank you so much.
So I'm going to show you a few images here. This is actually the birth of Carrie Michelle. So the mama that you just got to hear from, this was her birth. As you can see, a cesarean section, a lot of distress, right? In that second picture, you can see the distress on her face. Mom is clearly hooked up to some kind of medication there. And you can see also in the last photo here that she's isolated. She's on her own in the NICU. She is not in her mother's arms. And next we have photos of her firstborn baby. I mean, this first photo, again, I want to say that if you are pregnant or you are planning your journey of birth, please resource yourself as we look at these photos. Remember that this is someone else's story. It is not your story. And there's a very beautiful ending on this one. So stay with me. You can see this is a baby being resuscitated, is having a lot of medical intervention. Yeah, this baby has never, ever, ever been touched before. The preciousness of this new life. What an arrival, right? It's painful. You can look in his eyes, and he is just desperate, desperate. And now we see, yeah, this look on Mama's face. You can see Josh there in the corner. And I don't know about you, but I see a lot of helplessness there, even on the very tiny amount of his facial expression that we can see. So this wasn't intended. This was a birth that was intended to be a very peaceful, conscious home birth that became medicalized. And we're going to go into look at what are the variables that that make birth medicalized throughout this presentation. But here we go. Here is Carrie Michelle after the birth of Naya Golden, her second baby. As you can see, this is not at all the same experience. Look at those eyes. She will never be the same. Look at baby just crying tears of joy to be nestled into her mama's bosoms, to finally be in her arms. And that mama has just got born. Smile on baby's face. And then if you look at that papa, if you look at Josh, he will never be the same. So here we see a family gets born. Every time a mama births in power, sovereignly, a family gets born. A mama gets born, a baby gets born, a family gets born, and more than that, a community gets born. The life force energy that unlocks and floods the mother, floods the family, and rejuvenates the community at large. So that means, of course, that births, healthy birth, means healthy earth, right? This is what our world needs. And just one more set of photos here. We have a happy newborn baby, a happy big brother. Yes, if there's been past trauma, right, with regards to birth. So if the first baby or the first couple of babies were traumatic births, surgical births, medicalized births, then the redemptive birth, it really redeems the whole family. It brings deep, profound medicine and healing in for the siblings as well. And that was certainly the case here. So, yes, birth holds maximum potential to heal all trauma before that birth, as well as transgenerationally. So, any and all false beliefs, any and all deep core misunderstandings that we have about birth and life that really come from unresolved past trauma can be terminated through natural, peaceful, sovereign birth. And so, of course, that lends perspective to the magnitude of healing that birth holds for our entire planet. And here's a little snapshot of postpartum. We have a happy mama, happy baby. And yes, this program is delivered online. It's incredible, right? This work can happen from a distance and remarkably so. So here we are. This was a few weeks after Naya Golden's birth, and I'm just in deep admiration of the power that they are, as I was the whole pregnancy and even beyond. All right, so coming back, my name is Victoria Rose, and first and foremost, I am a registered massage therapist. And why do I put that in my bio? I put that in my bio because in Canada, it's quite significant to become a registered massage therapist. It's a 2,200-hour training with extensive clinical work after that. It's basically equivalent to getting a university degree in anatomy and physiology and neurobiology and the human body. I specialized in myofascial release. And for those of you who are familiar with the fascial system, you know that it is this multidimensional matrix, this multidimensional connective tissue. It is literally like the living fabric of our bodies, right? Continuous from the head to the toe, from the most superficial to the deepest layers. It is what holds us together. And it holds more than our tissues and organs and limbs together. It holds our memories. The fascia is made up of water, and the water of our bodies is where our memories are stored. So we can really look at our bodies as a living archives, right? A living library of memory. And surely our birth memories we hold in our body. Throughout this presentation, I'm really going to help you to reorient your relationship with memory because it typically is not what we remember with the thinking brain, with our neocortex. Our bodies are the holders of our memories. So I'm also a pre and perinatal psychology and health educator certified through the Association of Pre and Perinatal Psychology and Health, a Reiki master for fertility, pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. I am the creator of Luminescence Fertility and Pre-Procreation Program, which is a preconception program that we run twice a year in the spring and in the fall. Our next enrollment opens September 2024. And am, of course, the creator of the program that you're learning about right now, Transform into Birth. I am a rememberer. I hold vivid memories of my own birth, pre-birth, and conception experiences. My adult life has largely been remembering that I indeed never forgot. I believe this is true for everyone. However, some of us are granted opportunities to really crack open that archive, right? So I certainly had that opportunity. I had a near-death experience at 21. What easily could have been a fatal car crash was actually a supreme opportunity to make two very important decisions. The first one was whether or not to live, which for me was very easy and immediate. And the second one was what path I was willing to live. The long story, very short, I chose to come fully alive, to ensoul my body and truly incarnate. So that near-death experience really catapulted me forward on my path to which life led me instinctually, more than instinctually, in a very non-negotiable kind of way. I went to the Amazon jungle of Peru after finishing up my studies in massage therapy and working in a private practice for some time. I went off to the Amazon jungle of Peru to where I had no idea that I would literally be admitting myself in an intensive care unit, a other kind of hospital. In the jungle of Peru, I became very immersed in ancient traditional Amazonian medicine, and it was through that experience that I really discovered what a true hospital is. When I went to the Amazon for the very first time, I had no idea that it was going to lead me to spending then extensive periods of time over multiple years learning and apprenticing. This could kind of be compared to a sort of med school, right? But in a very different context. The Shipibo people, which are the ancient indigenous tribe that I was living, learning, working with, really could be considered as the original custodians of health, the original doctors and pharmacists. They have an unforgotten understanding of the origins of health and the origins of disease. My my own pre and perinatal memories opened up deeply there, and I was able to see through witnessing thousands of people coming from the Western world to rekindle their relationship with health, with nature, just how disconnected we are and how our wound of separation is cultural. And it begins long before birth. It begins with the incessant outsourcing of the mother's power and intuitive wisdom during the pregnancy. We're now living in a time where even conception is largely industrialized and commodified, and women are looking outside of the wisdom of their bodies for someone or something or some kind of advanced technology to even get them pregnant. In these ancient indigenous traditions, they cannot comprehend what we're doing in the Western world, right? It is like, what on earth is happening? They cannot comprehend why on earth you would ever even consider to separate a mother and a baby at or anywhere near birth, especially if the baby is not thriving. I apprenticed extensively with one of my beloved elders and mentors, Barbara Essman, who is the co-founder and director of the Sacred Birthing School on Kauai, Hawaii. And there I did her advanced doula and preconception trainings, which are deeply rooted in the healing and rewriting of your own birth. Those doula trainings are about 18 weeks, so 4.5 months long. It's a very deep initiatory journey whereby, um, yeah, you really come into deep understanding of what it is to show up in a family's life. I think in the US and most places around the world, a doula training is more like a weekend course. So already right out of the gate, just by me sharing that, you can probably gather the depth, the consciousness, and the quality and caliber of those trainings. I also did level 2 advanced teacher trainings with her, doula teacher trainings, as well as birthing the next generation, so courses in epigenetics, as well as death doula trainings, infant massage, and on and on. So if you're at all interested in an extensive initiation into birth keeping, I cannot recommend enough going to Hawaii. Oahu is now where the school is located, and doing the trainings at the Sacred Birthing School. So that is enough about me. Birth is exquisitely designed by nature to facilitate one particularly special phenomena. What is it? And if you can answer this question, it will radically change the way in which you prepare for birth. When you know that nature exquisitely intended, intelligently designed birth to facilitate one specific thing, when you know that any and all the energies and experiences that arise during the pregnancy and even before the conception are in service to facilitating this one particular phenomena, this one particular outcome, then you become very curious about the ways in which you should be preparing, right? What can I do to support this phenomena? So, what is it? Well, birth is exquisitely designed by nature to facilitate falling in love. Conception, pregnancy, and birth intelligently coalesce for one purpose: to set up the highest possibility of falling in love. What does it take to fall in love? When pregnancy and birth are upheld by a field of love and trust, then love and trust naturally become what uphold the family field lifelong. So, this is really big, right? Pregnancy and birth are a sacred rite of passage. And rites of passage are transformative life events that inform our beliefs about who we are in the world from that moment forward. They are the big events in our lives, like our first bleeds, getting into a first relationship, starting school, going and getting married, having a baby, ending a job. So, the ways in which we navigate these experiences and the level of support that we have around us as we move through these thresholds, these times of profound change and transition, these are the things that inform our beliefs about who we are. So it's a very different thing to be surrounded by people who are continuously assessing for problems, continuously assessing for risk, who have been trained to not believe in you and your baby and your potential and your innate wisdom. It's a completely different thing to be surrounded by that, to be managed, right? Than it is to be surrounded by people who innately trust the wisdom of birth, innately trust the built-in wisdom that is inherent in your DNA, and believe in birth, who are not afraid in birth. When women and parents are surrounded in that energy, they go on to parent with absolute confidence. They believe in themselves, they can be their own authority, and they can really um, navigate all the challenges of life with exceptional confidence and unconditional love and sovereignty. So, pregnancy and birth hold maximum potential for cultivating a family that is rooted in exceptional health and resilience and sovereignty. You have nothing but pure potential, potency, right? It's pure potential. So, transform into birth is all about harnessing the transformative nature of birth, and instead of being afraid of it, actually partnering with it. It's designed to transform us. It has to transform you. You cannot come out the other side of birth the same person that you went in. You must transform from being an ordinary human into a parent, or you must transform from being a parent of one into a parent of two, or a parent of three into a parent of four. So you must transform every single time. And when you partner with nature, then you welcome the highest possible birth and life scenario to unfold. So, this is a beautiful first time birth, a family that went through the whole Transform into Birth series and then went on to birth peacefully and naturally in absolute love at home. First time birth, yes, your very first birth can be a natural, blissful, victorious birth that births a family, and that unlocks all the family wisdom that is in your DNA that our culture has so deeply disconnected us from, right? Yeah, so birth is also designed to birth lifelong love. Conception is love making. And of course, we know that not all conceptions are this absolute overflow of love, but when we look at the design, it is designed to be that. When the love of two people magnifies so much that it just naturally overflows into the creation of a whole new universe. Why would birth be anything else than a celebration of love? Hormonally, lovemaking and birth are identical. Well, there's a few differences. There is actually the highest possible amounts of oxytocin produced in a birthing mother, in a labor and birthing mother, the highest amounts that are available to any human being. There's no other experience on the planet that will facilitate that high amount of oxytocin being produced. So if you need a reminder of what is oxytocin, oxytocin is it's known as the love hormone. It's the hormone that floods our systems when we feel safe and connected, loved, seen, held. So it's the attachment hormone, it's the love hormone. It produces in really high amounts when you kiss. Well, forget kissing. If you just hug someone for more than a minute, you'll start to produce oxytocin, right? That's that warm feeling of connection, of safety. And if you kiss, you produce even higher amounts of oxytocin. And in lovemaking, well, let's say in orgasm, you are flooded with oxytocin. So for those of you who have ever had an orgasm, then you have experienced the queen oxytocin hormone in her fullness. However, in birth, you produce far higher amounts of oxytocin in birth than even during orgasm. So yeah, that should really put into perspective that birth isn't designed, it's not meant to be painful. It's not meant to be laborious and all the things that that we've been taught that it is. Birth is the orgasm of pregnancy. And when we harness everything that's coming up in the pregnancy as preparation for birth, then we experience it as such, right? So, so yeah, what is escorting her, the birthing mama, into her heart? What is escorting that family, that couple, into their hearts where they're just nurturing their connection, right? Their relationship is the sanctuary from where the family is born and from where the family has the potential to thrive. So I would say that pregnancy is kind of like the foreplay, and birth is like the orgasm of pregnancy. So throughout the pregnancy, we want to just be like really making mama feel nourished, feel warm, feel safe, feel beautiful, feel powerful. Help her to understand that she is the queen, she is on her throne. And we are in service to her. And everyone who shows up in their role, especially daddy, transforms along with her. Dad, I won't go into this here, but your hormones change too during birth. So it's really, really important that you are present during the pregnancy and during the birth. Yeah, birth is intelligently designed to birth a family that can move through all of life's challenges with grace, with ease. Yeah, life is going to continue to happen even while you have a family. And pregnancy and birth gives you the opportunity to program your family life, to literally imprint who you are as a mother, who you are as a father, how you be as a family. If you can make it through the journey of labor and birth with grace and ease and confidence and love, you can make it through everything and anything that comes up, right? Even when you have children, things are going to happen. The economy might crash, dad might lose his job, you might have to leave countries. Like, all of life is going to continue to happen. And in order for the family to stay in a thriving state, in order for the family to know we are safe, we are held, we belong, all those things that children need to know, you must be able to navigate all life's challenges in this way, with confidence, with ease. And birth equips you for that. Birth transforms you into that bulletproof couple. Look at these two. That mama is in absolute bliss. In this picture, she's just birthed her second baby, which deeply healed the birth of her first. You can see that this father will never, ever be the same. His relationship to the feminine is permanently transformed and healed. This mama is now pregnant with her third baby. And so, yeah, their fertility, yeah, just continues to blossom. She is serving her community on extraordinary levels, particularly through postpartum care in Austin, Texas. And it's just incredible to really see they're a living example of how when a mama births in power, she gets born, a family gets born, and a whole community becomes invigorated and revived by that wisdom. Yes, so we are sentient and relational beings. And why do I point this out? I point this out because we cannot think our way through birth, just like we cannot think our way through life, right? You actually don't need your neocortex to give birth, just like you don't need your neocortex to make love. In fact, that rapid brainwave thinking brain not only gets in the way of both of those things, it can actually hinder it completely. And we see this all the time in birth. It's really important to understand and know what stimulates the neocortex, because anything that stimulates the neocortex, for example, being asked questions, being observed, being monitored, being interrupted, having bright lights, noises, all these things stimulate the neocortex, the thinking brain. They literally bring the natural physiological unfoldment of spontaneous labor and birth to a halt. And in the medical system, this will be perceived as failure to progress. But there is no such thing as failure to progress in labor. There is such thing as the safety and the physiological conditions that are needed to keep birth safe not being there, right? So to put this more simply, any animal, look at a cat or a dog, when they are giving birth, they go hide in a cupboard or they go somewhere where it is dark, quiet, and undisturbed. Humans need the exact same thing. I would go further to say that we need the love and the sanctuary of safety, which is often there through, yes, a dark, quiet, undisturbed space, and more than that, having deep connection from the partner if it's there. So, yeah, we can't think our way through birth. So, this really puts birth education in its place, right? We need to come back into our hearts, into our feelings. This is how we prepare for birth. We illuminate any and all of the life experiences that have created distortions and misunderstandings in our beliefs about whether or not we are loved, whether or not we're lovable, right? We go through a process of forgiving ultimately ourselves so that the heart can open. And all the other stuff, the birth education is interesting. It's exciting. It can give you this other level of confidence as you navigate pregnancy and labor and birth. And we all know that we've been taught so much that we must go through this process of unlearning. But my invitation to you is not to center your birth preparation on learning or even unlearning or on birth education, because quite frankly, it doesn't matter how much you know about birth. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much you know about birth. Birth emerges from the body. The body must open in order to give birth. And we must be willing to be moved, opened, and changed by life. And this requires a deep capacity to feel. So, again, becoming aware of any of the distorted experiences maybe we had as small children that debilitated our capacity to feel, to be here in the present moment. Feeling is an innate superpower of the human being. And it's meant to remain intact from the very beginning of life. And there's something really powerful I want to share with you all here as you're listening. But as mothers and fathers, our capacity to feel, our capacity to receive the love of our unborn and even preconceived babies. Epigenetics shows us how any and all of the energies that are present from the time of preconception inform brain and immune system development lifelong, right? So it is actually our capacity to receive love that informs our children's core beliefs about whether or not they are loved. So, if we are to birth humans who have a maximum capacity for love, if we want our future leaders and teachers and healers to have this maximum capacity for love and compassion and to have their innate interconnectedness with all life intact, then we must cultivate this inside of ourselves. And birth, again, is intelligently designed to facilitate this. It illuminates all the destruction that is written in our history. It illuminates all the false beliefs we're holding in our bodies. And it provides this supreme, unprecedented opportunity to transcend all of that and effectively, successfully welcome the emergence of a brand new story. Mamas connect with their unborn and preconceived babies through their hearts, through their wounds, through their feelings. And I always say this, the most advanced, sophisticated technology that we have to gather accurate information about our bodies and our babies during pregnancy that far surpasses any of the modern technology we have today is through the channel of our intuition, through the channel of our heart, and through the channel of our feelings. So in Transform into Birth, we are really going above and beyond to create a very strong, crystal clear connection, channel of communication between mama baby and mama daddy baby, because it is through that channel that you will gather accurate information about the well-being of your baby. So there's all kinds of ways that you can actually, there's all kinds of alternatives to things like ultrasounds, etc. And and I would say that these sacred technologies actually have more accuracy than an ultrasound can ever come close to delivering. So in Transform into Birth, I provide extensive education on all of these things so that you can actually have freedom of choice right? Based on knowledge of all the alternatives. It is very obvious when a mama has gathered an answer from her baby, because when she receives that answer from within her, her whole body, mind, spirit goes into a state of total equilibrium and contentment. You can read what her baby is saying through her body language. She can have 5, 6, 7 midwives giving her a piece of information, but when her body speaks, when her baby speaks, that is what will hold precedence. And that is what gives her absolute confidence. However, if she's outsourcing through the entirety of her pregnancy and depending on someone or something to somehow know what's best for her and or her baby, then that communication won't be very strong. Her instinctual connection will be a bit severed. Um, so anyways, we go into these things at depth in the Transform into Birth program. And how beautiful, right? The heart is the first developing organ to form and start to function in the very early stages of gestation, between week 3 and 4. It really is the central force of our existence. Its initial beat, the first of millions of beats it will beat throughout our lifetimes to sustain us, is a critical milestone in the developing embryo. It marks the beginning of the circulatory system's role in nourishing and sustaining growth. The human experience is such that we have an extraordinary capacity to feel. It is the heart that formulates our interconnectedness with the whole world around us through Mother Earth. Yeah, our hearts connect us with Mother Earth. Our hearts connect us with our intuition, our feelings. This is like the invisible thread that connects us with all sentient life. The heart forms the foundation of our existence. I mean, sages, teachers, mystics, Christ himself have come to teach this. But how do you teach it? Right? The story of Christ is the most deeply misinterpreted story in the history of stories, right? It cannot be taught. It can only be embodied, exemplified. The degree to which religion misinterpreted Christ, right, as somehow being outside of us, this is more the mind. If we want to birth humans who never forget who they are and why they came, if we want to birth highly esteemed human beings who are confident and successfully deliver their mission, who never question whether or not they are loved or whether or not they belong, we must believe in them. We must trust in them. We must sovereignly navigate. And it's more than we get to. We are the architects. The way in which we navigate pregnancy and birth is what informs the development of our babies. And, this is deep. Transform into Birth is all about illuminating our own birth imprints. Because when we illuminate the imprints, and the imprints are the programs, they're the conditionings, they are the false beliefs that we inherited. Okay. By doing that, we restore our original blueprint, our wholeness, who we truly are, our original essence. And in that way, we welcome the emergence of a brand new story. And it's important to understand the depth and the significance of this work, because it is our imprints that inform our beliefs, and our beliefs that inform our values, and our values will inform all the decisions that we make. So this really transforms our perception of what is sovereignty. To cultivate true sovereignty, we must become coherent with our imprints, which inform our beliefs, which inform our values, which inform our decisions. And this can be a very deep and beautiful, gentle inner work, which transformative birth facilitates in the most loving, safe container and inspiring. The heart is the gateway to the soul. Yeah, and that term heart-centered life, right? The heart is the center of all creation. It's literally the first developing organ. It is our life source, our life force. It connects us to the source of all creation. So, what yeah, this is another piece, that I really want to share is that the heart is so inherent in birth, right? The cervix is what has to open in order for a baby to get born. And the cervix is the portal to the heart. The neurovascular points all around the cervix correspond with the neurovascular points of the heart. And so the cervix is the portal to the heart. What helps you to open your heart? Right? Can you just go open your heart right now? It just doesn't work like that. What experiences help a woman's true sensual nature come fully alive? Right? What makes her soften? What makes her open? What makes her trust? And I love these slides, right? Because they emanate beauty. Beauty makes us soften. What makes us open to life and embrace all of its uncertainty? And what you can do right now is just think of a time where, and of course, life is always unknown, right? Life itself embodies uncertainty. It embodies the mystery as much as we like to tell ourselves differently. Birth absolutely is the epitome of that. It embodies the mystery. But just for the sake of this presentation, bring up a time where you were faced with utter uncertainty and it was so uncomfortable. You had no idea where your decision was going to lead you. You had no idea if you would turn left or right or forward or backward, or if you would put one foot in front of the other, what foot it would be. Bring up a time. We've all had many experiences like this where we felt scared of the unknown. What was it that raised your vibration in that scenario? What was it that changed that experience for you to the point where you felt excited and inspired? You were just embodying an embrace for all of the uncertainty. Think about that. Was it having people around you that went, well, what if, every time you posed one of your options? Or was it having people around you that just fully, wholeheartedly believed in you, the wisdom that is guiding you through your life? Yeah. Was it planning for all the ways that things can go wrong, or was it singing in the mornings and dancing and welcoming the highest possibility of what could unfold? What makes you feel safe, held, beautiful, and powerful? Yeah, write those things down. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you forgot. Write them down with an openness to discover more of what makes you feel safe and held and beautiful and powerful. What is your love language? Beauty, right? I always say, give birth where you would make love. Be surrounded in beauty. Everything that you see, hear, touch, smell, taste, feel should be beautiful, should be escorting you into your body, into your true sensual nature. Should be saying, yes, yes, yes. Give birth where you would make love. And plan for birth as the ultimate love making, right? Making love to source. It is the most entheogenic, the most psychedelic experience available to a human being that will give you access to everything you've ever wanted access to. It will allow you to reprogram every single area of your life, to restore your true nature, the deepest dimensions of prosperity and love. This is the opportunity of birth. Yeah, and birth happens in an altered state of consciousness, right? I just said it's the most entheogenic experience. It is the most psychedelic experience, and many people are not prepared for that, right? If you were going to have a ceremony with some kind of psychoactive substance or a sacred plant medicine like ayahuasca or magic mushrooms or something like this, would you prepare by doing urine analysis and checking your blood pressure and checking your weight and size and all these things? Well, maybe it can be a good idea, right? Some really serious health conditions can um, not be ideal for those kinds of non-ordinary experiences. But most of all, what you would be doing to prepare to do what I say, which is to meet the Holy of Holies, to come forward naked to the inner altar, to the divine, naked, bare. So you'll begin to be with yourself. You'll begin to illuminate the shadows that have written your and our humanity's collective history. Yeah. You begin to prepare your body and mind and spirit to welcome a new consciousness, to open to love. Ultimately, I always say we aren't scared of the unknown. We aren't scared of the big, bad, dark, whatever it is, hiding in some crevice somewhere. We're not scared of all of that, right? That's that's like societal conditioning, right? And largely also our own imprints, which become very obvious when you start to work intimately with your own birth and pre-birth experiences. What we are scared of the most is the vulnerability, is the love that we are. And in conception, yeah, you're receiving that love. You're being chosen. In pregnancy, that love is growing and expanding exponentially inside your being. Pure God consciousness, pure luminous light. And in birth, that love, that luminosity is coming down through the dimensions, through your body into the world. And so this whole process of pregnancy and birth gives rise to the question of what is compromising my capacity to receive love. And guaranteed it goes back to your own pre-birth, conception, and preconception experiences, which is why in Transform into Birth, we use the whole prenatal period as an opportunity, right? Everything that's coming up in life, we use it as material to write a new story. Again, this wound of separation begins before conception. All the planning and doing and learning, it deeply demonstrates our mistrust in life, our mistrust in birth. It is cultural, right? And even the conscious conception route is taking us out of the heart. It is distracting us even further, and it is leading to even more medicalized births. The people who take transform into birth are typically people who have done a lot of inner work and personal development. So they're not new on the path of um, self awareness, cultivating self awareness. And actually, one of the things that really inspired me towards creating this program was, well, one was just innately knowing what babies need when they're coming into their lives. But the second thing was that I was witnessing over and over and over and over again these women who have done so much, invested so many tens of thousands of hours in their own personal growth and healing and epigenetic reprogramming and awakening, right? They will conceive very high beings, very conscious, advanced beings, all to go through to endure the whole gamut of medical interventions. And this was so concerning to me. I thought, oh my gosh, as a generation, we're doing so much work to heal and restore our interconnectedness with nature, to incarnate who we truly are. But then when it comes to doing the most basic natural thing like giving birth, we we literally admit ourselves into the epitome of all the systems and structures that kind of had us imprisoned in the first place. So, in easier terms, we just pass on all the trauma. So I realized, oh, wow, yeah, something's missing, right? So, yeah, another part of my work, which you can learn about outside of luminous birth, is the importance of us healing our own births in preparation to do sacred plant medicines, and definitely to ensure the integration of those experiences so that we can incarnate the wisdom that we receive in ceremonies and things like that into our bodies, into our lives, into our relationships and our reality. A dear friend of mine who had a near death experience last year and was hospitalized for nearly a year that followed. He spent many, many, many days in between life and death. And he came back with many profound gatherings and information, as people do when they are given a choice to live or die. And he said, it's not about being more conscious. It's about being less ignorant. And this really hit me deeply. It's not about being more conscious. It's about being less ignorant. I think it's about being more humble. And when it comes to birth, we need to be very humble that most of us who were born in the Western world were welcomed into our lives industrially. And those imprints are in our bodies. It doesn't matter what we think we believe. Our beliefs are held in our bodies, and our children are asking us to become coherent with them, to restore our innate trust in nature and rekindle our instinct. That is what they're asking of us. And all this new age spiritualism and conscious living, etc., is just keeping us more in our minds. We need to anchor into our hearts to truly write a new story for our future generations. So there's four very unique pillars that uphold, transform into birth. Another way to put this would be that we embody four dimensions of awareness. So these are the four things that are literally the fabric what is fabricating this program? The first, as you've heard lots about so far, is that it is rooted in the healing of your own birth and pre-birth imprints. Yeah. So you'll have a chance to revisit your own birth, pre-birth, conception, preconception experience. I'll guide you through a journey of revisiting those and gently rewriting that story. We harness everything that's coming up in the pregnancy as an opportunity to write, to script a new story into your life so that not if, but when your own birth experiences arise when you're giving birth, you can write a new story. And when you really become aware of what you needed at your birth, that radically transforms the set and setting that you create for yourself when you give birth. So when you remember just how conscious you were when you were getting born, it is not possible for you to not bring that consciousness forward to the birth and the postpartum time of your baby. Um, and yeah, the program we really acknowledge the influence of the parental relationship. Shouldn't all preconception and prenatal care encompass love and relationship coaching? Like, why is that not a thing, right? I mean, all we have to do is look at the divorce rates in the United States, which is the hub of the world, to see that something's missing, right? We all know that lifelong love is possible. It's this, it's a, we have that knowing in our bone marrow, but somehow it's really wobbly. And, we have been conditioned in ways that are not allowing that to be a reality. So, yeah, we look at the parental relationship, it is going to transform no matter what. So, we bring a lot of awareness and love and profound support to a couple, to their relationship, to the quality of your love and your communication. You guys are transforming. Yeah. And this isn't about anything other than you being worshiped, you being revered as the most courageous architects of our future. You have the most heroic role on the planet, and parents are not being acknowledged enough for that role that they have, for the beauty and the power that you hold, that you have in your hands. Um, I've seen over and over and over again how delivering this relationship support profoundly, radically transforms birth outcomes. We dedicate an entire section to the men's role in pregnancy and birth. So we focus awareness on his transformational journey into fatherhood. That I could talk about for hours and hours. It is a deeply neglected part of the conversation. I'm not going to go any further into it today. All I will say is that absolutely, when men are supported on their transformational pathway into fatherhood, by men who have walked the path, um, they become incredible fathers. They become the fathers that our world and all of our children, we all desperately needed. And he deserves that. And dads, this is your opportunity to step into your highest expression and most deeply embodied masculinity and power. So this is just so good, so beautiful. Um, yeah, I have found over the years, I've been largely filling a void over the years because I've been providing extensive support for dads, and obviously I'm not a man, but I've been providing extensive support for men during their wives' pregnancies and births and beyond. And what I've noticed a few things. One, men desperately want that support and they don't even realize that they need it. They innately need it and innately deserve it. But two, the one of the most influential ways that I can support a mama is by supporting her partner. Um, massively influences the outcomes of births. And when we listen to birth stories of cases where birth was planned to be natural at home, peaceful birth, and became a hospital transfer, became a medicalized birth, we often see that there was one of many things going on. Things coming up in the relationship that were unseen, unrecognized by anyone in the room. Mom and or dad, usually both, re-experiencing their own births. And again, unrecognized, completely overlooked by anyone in the room, not even identifiable, right? Um, and and the dad hadn't received the support that he needed to be that grounding rock and present protector, to be able to have the capacity to be present and be holding space. So yeah, these are all things. And um, you don't need to go through a traumatic birth the first time to learn that most of the things that actually influence birth physiology are unseen, right? Um, so, yeah, you can just embody this from the very beginning. And this program embodies an awareness for the baby's experiences. We include them not only as a conscious participant in conception, pregnancy, and birth, but as the main expert. So, um, yeah, babies see, hear, feel, are very aware of everything going on in pregnancy and birth, and we include them as a conscious participant. Again, we foster communication with the baby, and we ultimately do everything humanly possible to align with their highest chosen birth plan. So, this is weaving the most advanced sciences in pre and perinatal psychology, which is a whole field of advanced science and research showing the consciousness and sentience of the soul from the time of preconception, with the wisdom of sacred birthing, um, to really, really welcome the emergence of a new story. So, yeah, what is new? Well, for the last 5 years, I've been delivering the program in a one-on-one format. It consisted of 10 2.5 hour sessions because I was providing all the birth education, all the psychospiritual support, all the trauma healing, plus support for fathers and the relationship. And now, what I have done is I've created an online virtual library of classes. And so all the educational pieces will now be available in a pre-recorded format, enabling a very self-paced learning experience. I have created this online library in a way that makes all the educational pieces very digestible. So you're not going to have 2-hour classes like this one. You'll have very short classes that are really full of value that you can listen to while you drive the car, while you make dinner, or what. They're from 8 minutes to 18 minutes, very short and digestible, with the odd longer class here and there. Also, you don't have to just listen to my voice. I have brought in some of the foremost leading voices in pregnancy, birth, and parenting to deliver some of the highest caliber birth education that exists. And ultimately, this has enabled me to give other birth educators whose ethos are in highest alignment with luminous birth an opportunity to showcase their work, to bridge connection between our growing global family and an esteemed collective of the foremost leading voices and guardians of birth wisdom. What more could we need, right? We're swimming in an information saturated world. We have no idea where to turn or who to turn to. So I've done that for you. And what this is enabling us to do is to make sure that the one-on-one time that is spent with you, um, which is with me and eventually will be with some of my other practitioners who are all being trained with these methods through Luminous Birth, for the one-on-one support to be dedicated to what actually influences birth outcomes, which is, and what is actually needed during pregnancy, which is emotional support and deep presence. So you can go through all the education in your own way at your own time, and the one-on-one pieces will be for what is truly, truly needed, innately deserved during pregnancy. So I am deeply committed to continuously discovering how we can truly support the evolving needs of women, babies, and families in a grounded and coherent ways. In a grounded and coherent way that honors the multi-dimensions of family creation and recognizes that the incoming souls are our guides, our teachers. They are the leaders of the future. Who do we want speaking for us? Who do we want leading us? The souls that are coming to Earth right now are coming on purpose, just as we did, to guide us through this time of change, to lead us into a new way of being in the world. So here are just a few of the teachers on the online virtual library of classes. Myself, Dr. Sarah Buckley, she is the amazing doctor who coined all these terms like hormonal blueprint, ecstatic physiology of labor and birth. We borrow that language from her. She's the queen of all of that. She also authored the book Gentle Birth, Gentle Mothering. Sister Morningstar, Cherokee elder and midwife, one of the only authentic midwives still alive today. Carlton Terry, world-leading baby therapist and author of New Parenting Can Change Your World. Kate White, former educational director of the Association of Pre- and Perinatal Psychology. She has founded and continues to nurture some of the most advanced pre- and perinatal trainings for babies and parents. She is truly a gift to our world. And Diamond Weinstein, another absolute gift to our world and to our future generations. She authored the book called Prenatal Development, Parents Psycho, or, oh goodness, I need to grab the book. But yes, it is all about the preconception origins of human and societal health, and how our lived experiences shape the neurophysiology of our future generations. She is absolutely incredible and covers a very important piece in this program. Barbara Essman, my elder and mentor on Hawaii, co-founder and director of the Sacred Birthing School. We have epigenetic practitioner and pre and perinatal practitioner, Paola Zuazua. Kate Birch, she was the first to bring homeoprophylaxis to America in 2008, and she is an expert in immune system education and re-education, one of the most important topics when it comes to creating family. We have Poppy Burr, a medical herbalist, covering topics of postpartum nourishment and herbs for pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, all the whens and the hows when it comes to naturopathic medicine, medical or herbal medicine, homeopathic medicine, all of these pathways, but how and when should you call on them and why? We also have Zeni Ogresig, who is just an absolute master and mystic of sound and Ayurvedic medicine. So she's covering pieces on sound technology for fetal development and also for pain relief during labor and birth, as well as some Ayurvedic perspectives and principles that you can follow during pregnancy and birth. We have a few couples that are contributing to our section for love and relationships. And we have a whole list of people, including Dr. Nathan Riley, holistic OBGYN and co-founder of the Born Free Method, who are delivering an elaborate section for all of the daddies. All right, so there's There isn't time to go through, but you can see, you can screenshot this, you can see that we cover a lot in this program, everything you need to know and nothing that you don't need to know. Everything from, yeah, I mean, all of it. Practical tips and tools and prenatal bonding, communication with the unborn, navigating the birth journey from the physiology of birth and nature's exquisite design, the hormonal blueprint of labor and birth, creating the field, creating a conducive environment for maximizing labor hormones, comprehensive overviews of the medical, midwifery, free birthing models of care so that you can make informed decisions. Um, Human rights in birth, natural pain relieving techniques, and on and on and on and on. Everything you will need, nothing you don't need. All right.
Hey, Charles Clay here. I just want to share some appreciation and immense gratitude for Victoria Rose with Luminous Birth. Wow, what a powerful support system she's created during the birthing journey. You know, and life, it takes a lot to bring life into this world, and everybody has their own journey with that. And so I can't think of a more important time to call in the support that you deserve. I'm certainly glad that we did, and she just held space, reflection, and perspective during the birthing journey that was of immense value. So highly recommend Luminous Birth and the work with Victoria Rose. Big love to all the families out there.
Great. So another testimonial. We'll keep going. Charles' wife, Brenda Lynn here.
Hey, Charles
Oops.
Clay here. I just want to share some appreciation and immense gratitude for
Here we go. Oops. Let's go
My
back.
name's Brandolyn Clay. I am a mother of two beautiful daughters living here in Austin, Texas. And I had an incredible time working with Victoria Rose of Luminous Birth. We had a really traumatic first-time birth that was an attempted home birth that resulted in a hospital transfer. And so when I was preparing for the birth of my second daughter, I felt like I had some big healing to do. I was so grateful to finally find a woman who could meet me at my depths of spirituality and psychology and ceremony, and who was deeply trained through the Sacred Birthing School and unlocking the wisdom of perinatal and prenatal psychology. She guided me and my partner to heal our own birth journeys together as we were preparing to give birth. And I really believe that this was the number one thing, the number one piece of preparation and inner work that we did that allowed us both to experience the redemptive birth with our second daughter. I am so grateful that I went all in her program for 12 full weeks. So thank you, Victoria. The work that you do is amazing, and I would highly recommend anybody to you, and I have already recommended probably about 10.
Okay, so again, here's a depiction. This is Brenda Lynn's birth of her first child on the left. You can see she is highly drugged and medicated. There's a lot of distress for the baby. Um, and then you have on the right the picture of her second born after going through transformative birth, healing her own birth, deepening the relationship dynamics so much, the healing of the first birth. And here we have a mama and a daddy who will never be the same, reborn. Again, here's the picture that you saw earlier in the presentation. This mama is not ever going to be the same. And she's now pregnant with her third baby. This was the birth of her second baby. And so we're now Yeah, giving her all the love and the deep, deep presence and support that she deserves as she becomes a mama of three. And her experience has actually really shown me how, yeah, you don't need less support as you go on. You need more, right? Now she's bringing a third baby in and has less time and less presence to focus solely on this pregnancy. And I just love this picture on the left. Look at that love. Yeah, this is birth. This is family creation. This is what it's designed to be. You can see how the whole family got born through that redemptive birth of Everly Pearl. Sophia, the firstborn baby, healed so much through the process. Now she's a proud big sister. The whole family healed and essentially wrote a new story. So now
I'm
we have
Ariel,
I'm
another
Richard.
and
testimonial.
we have a 2-year-old named Elisa. We call her Isa, um, and she's wonderful. And we decided to work with Victoria because, well, I knew her before I got pregnant and stuff, and I knew she had done birth work in Hawaii, and she's just a wonderful person. So when she found out that I was pregnant, she offered me these awesome prenatal sessions, and I knew that I needed to work with her. And I'm just really grateful that she does this kind of work for women and for families. I had absolutely no apprehensions in working with her. I trust her completely. She's just a really good person, and I actually had a dream before I asked her to work with me, and she, it was just a really profound dream to me, and that was one of the reasons why we also came together through this. So I just had a lot of love and trust in her, and still do. And what kind of stood out to me was the amount of information she could bestow upon us, and just with being pregnant and what's going on with me physiologically, hormonally, spiritually, being in touch with that, and how to advocate for myself, because I was working with a midwife, and she's a really awesome midwife, and I'm very grateful that I had all this information that Victoria could give to me, because it helped me know what I could say no to, or if I had to, go somewhere else, that I could, help, figure out what a plan of action for me would be, and what I would need, and Richard would help advocate for me with that. So it was really nice having a lot of turf covered, I guess, and it made me feel very safe and all of that. But what also stood out to me above all of it too was the guided birth meditation for preconception and gestation and birth that I had, and how I could kind of heal my own birth through my mother with my daughter. And I got everything out of my birth that I could have possibly wanted, and I worked mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually very hard to get to that point, and it was all so worth it, and I got everything I wanted out of it. I also worked with a midwife that was very much letting me do my thing and was super helpful, and in ways of giving me space to labor. And I actually even kicked him out of the room for a second, but I needed him to come back in toward the end, and he read me all of my birth affirmations that my friends and I had written down, and held me up while I birthed our child out, which was pure elation and joy. And it didn't even really hurt that much, honestly. So that was kind of cool too. But yeah, I would definitely recommend working with her. And the role of this guy, or like any father, is really important too, or any partner, not necessarily a father, but you know, the other partner in it is super vital and important to have when you have them, and communicating exactly what you need from them is super important. And I knew that going into it, but I really was blown away at how much like it really all came full circle, and we couldn't have done all of that without Victoria's help. And I'm really grateful that I can carry this into the next time when we decide to have a kiddo. So, thank you. Sorry.
So the last two testimonials were of people who were having their second time birth, and this testimonial and the next one are first time births. Again, yes, you can absolutely have a blissful, victorious, transcendent first time birth, no matter what. This is available to each and every one of us. So now we're going to get to hear from Lauren and Jean-Pierre. Lauren and JP. They worked with me throughout the birth of their baby Wild. They did the Transform into Birth series.
Hi, my name is Lauren Musselman, and this is JP. We are the parents of a little boy named Wild, who is now 18 months old. And we worked with Victoria Rose for, I would say, about 4 to 6 months prior to the birth of our son. And throughout that process, we really had a ton of questions on, you know, home birth and the process, and mentally and physically and emotionally preparing for what was to come. So we got to work through the prenatal and perinatal processes with Victoria, and we're so grateful that we did. I truly believe that I wouldn't have gotten through the whole home birth process if it weren't for the words of wisdom that were given to me and the internal dialogue that I was then able to have through Victoria's amazing program. For JP, it was his third child and the first born in this way. So he had a much different experience than he'd ever had before.
For me, I was active for my past couple of children before Wild was born, and it was more on the traditional hospital birth. And I was I was blessed to be able to have gone through this process with Luminous Birth and Victoria Rose, that opened up a whole entire new world for us, to be able to connect spiritually and emotionally to the miracle of birth. We're more than lucky and grateful to have Victoria help us throughout the process, because it was very important for us, and it was one of the biggest tools that we had going throughout the process. I can say that as an active father of being in birth of all my children, this was more intimate, it was more connected, and it was more spiritual understanding of the process. And I don't think that it would have been possible without Victoria and Luminous Birth support, something that we're always going to be thankful for, and something that is not just throughout the process of birth, but post-birth as well, even to this day. She's been an important and big role helping us throughout the process before and after birth, and we have a lot to be thankful for the Luminous Birth movement, because it is very, very helpful. And we truly recommend it to any parents that are thinking about it, looking at this video, thinking, is this a way to go? I say that it's worth every single second to spend with them.
I think one of the most important things as we move through that journey is the clearing of the internal space in preparation for what's to come, so that we can then hold space for this beautiful being that was arriving, and then upon arrival to, you know, be so clear and so open to what the spirit of our little wild man had to offer. And you know, we did this process with Victoria from a distance, So we gave birth on a very small island in New York where you have to take a ferry to get to. You can't drive, there's no bridges. And for me to clear the space to go through labor, you know, through the night, we didn't even have our actual birth team live and in person until the last 3 hours of that labor. So having the support, even from a distance, was magical for us. And then shortly after, when Wild was about a year old, we got to go visit Victoria live and in person, and she held space for us for ceremony and just to kind of have that experience together as a family after we'd gone through this whole process was really magical too. So again, like JP said, recommend it to anyone who's interested, and we're super excited to continue to watch Luminous Birth grow and evolve, and we are here just like she was a cheerleader for us, we're cheerleading for her and the program. Thank you so much, Victoria. We love you.
Thank you, Victoria.
Wonderful. So here are some family photos. I think the photos describe it all. The beauty of photos is that we don't need words, right? And yes, they came to Portugal. We had a beautiful family blessing. And yeah, and these photos and the sharing is really to convey to you guys who are watching that this is about restoring family culture. We are building a global family community. So once you take Luminous Birth's programs and specifically Transform into Birth or our preconception series Luminescence, you become part of a global growing family. Once you are in, and you get to grow with moms and dads, children. You know, eventually we foresee having large reunions, family reunions, right? The ones that rebirth the fun and the play and the creativity and all of that, which is often missing in conventional family reunions. So thank you guys for listening. Please let's stay connected. Go follow at Luminous Birth on Instagram. Book a free connection call via the website www.luminousbirth.earth. Also, share this website with anyone who you know who is preparing to be pregnant or preparing for the transformational journey of birth. We are so excited that this program is coming into a format that will enable thousands more people around the world to experience it. If you have questions, if you want to embark on this journey, I want to reassure you that it doesn't matter how far on your pregnancy journey you are, whether you're in the first trimester or the third, or you're expecting to give birth in a couple of weeks, this program is for you. I guarantee you every session we have will be transformational, and there will be invaluable education on the virtual library that you can take with you through that journey. More than that, your sessions can resume after birth, where so many, right? So many forget about the postpartum time. Please remember that the birth is one teeny tiny part of your journey. In Ayurveda, they say 40 days, 40 years, right? The first 40 days after birth inform the physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual health of the mother for the next 40 years. During that 40 days, you and baby are exchanging critical information that is reinforcing the immune system, the endocrine system, the digestive system, everything. The whole psychoneuroimmunoendocrinology is getting informed, updated, and it really depends on the support that you have in that time. You cannot do it alone. Your partner cannot be your sole supporter during that time. So yes, we're talking about a whole lot more than birth here. We are talking about cultivating thriving families and thriving communities and a thriving world. And yeah, in this program, we are dropping into the core, to the truth, to the heart of what that really means. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you found this supportive and helpful, and I so look forward to meeting you in the program.